Hello and welcome to the Computer Graphics and Web Programming class. As stated, I told you there were three main software that I'll be using. The first one was the Google Chrome, the bracket software, which is the IDE, and also AMPS. AMPS will be more or less like the server where we will be putting in our stuff. We will use Chrome to serve the pages that we will develop either in the A-frame or in our HTML or PHP script. Now, without wasting much time, I'm going to dedicate this particular section solely for brackets, how to install it and how to include or install certain type of packages that I think will be necessary for your programming aspect for this particular class, which is the graphics and also the web programming. So without wasting my time, you can see from here that I have brackets already installed, where you can see the bracket software. I remember telling you that we'll be using it for computer graphics and also for web programming. So if I should go into probably web programming or probably computer graphics class, you will see under software I have these three files in here. I have the AMPs, I have the brackets as well, and also XAMPP. XAMPP is also a variant of the AMP, so you can either use the AMP or the XAMPP. But for the purposes of this, we are going to use just the brackets and also AMPs. That is what I have installed. So those that have issues, I told you, you can come to me in the course of the week so that I will help you rectify your error messages that come either in the AMPs or the XAMPP application. All right, so I have on the left side the brackets installed. Also on the right side, you can see I have brackets. Those that would want a different version of the one that I gave in class, you can go to google.com and just type brackets download, where the first link, which is brackets.io, gives you the modern open source application of brackets. You can download this one. In fact, currently what I have is the current version is what I've downloaded and given to and put up in here for you to download and use for your programming in the class. All right, so there are certain types of extensions that I include in the bracket application just to help speed up some of the things that I would want to do in the web and also graphic class. There are certain things I don't need to be typing all the time, but there are shortcuts that these extensions extend and help us in completing certain types of tasks as quickly as possible. So without wasting much time, I'm going to go to the first extension. So to move to the extension, on the right side of this icon of the brackets window, this side, when I click on this, that will pop up the extension window for me. So from here, these are the extensions that I'm going to go through. There are lots of extensions that you can include in your brackets application, but these are the ones that I believe are necessary that you should install. So I have Beautify, and what Beautify does is anytime I have maybe some codes in my my code is not indented correctly, I can use Beautify to indent it correctly. So what you can do is under available, you can just type search. So you search the Beautify, and that should give you, this is Beautify, that is the extension. So you will just click on install to install it, just like how you see it. I already have it installed. That is why when I come to themes, I come to install, you see it here as I've installed them. So I would want you to go through all of these. So you will install Beautify, you install brackets colored picker, which will help us pick some colors, some the hashtags of colors that we use in our computer graphics and also web programming class. So I would want you to install them. In this case, I am going to enable all of them because I already have them installed, but I just disabled it so that I'll run it through you through how to install it. Now you also see bracket tree icon. So this helps me helps us know that the current file that you are working on is either CSS or PHP or maybe JavaScript. So it's a way of tagging the file name with some sort of icon that makes it easier to know whichever one that we are using. So I'm going to enable this one. Of course, the color highlighter also does the same thing. So per the hexadecimal color that we use in our CSS and also in our graphics class, we can it highlights the color for us anytime we put in those hexadecimal numbers in there. So I'm going to enable that one as well. So I would want you to install custom work as well. Emmet is very important. You know, most of the shortcuts things, for instance, HTML has some sort of skeleton that you would be typing and doing certain things. So Emmet makes it easier by typing some of the shortcuts as quickly as using the shortcut to type or to bring out the block of HTML codes as quickly as possible without having to bring in the tags, the greater than, less than, and all of that. It makes things easier for us. So I'm going to enable that one as well. I'm going to enable indent guide. This OS style helps me. In fact, that is going to be the theme that I'm going to use in the writing of my code. So I would enable, I already have it enabled. And finally, prettier. In fact, prettier, when I installed, I had issues. So another variant of prettier is the beautify. That is why I installed beautify. So I'm going to close this one and it will try install all of these for me. So if you want to install any extension that you think is important, you click on this icon, you go to the extension section, then from there you just search for the extension. So whichever extension that you look out for, assuming I want a collection of bootstrap snippets for brackets, I will just type bootstrap and it will give me a list of bootstrap snippets that are available, and I'll just click on install. So that will automatically install it for us. All right, so once I have it installed, you can see first of all, I have a folder. I've already opened a folder where I would be dealing with my HTML codes and stuff like that. In fact, in the graphic class, I remember telling you that most of the things that you will do looks exactly like HTML. So that is why I would always want to introduce you to HTML before we actually go in depth with the graphics. All right, so first of all, you can click on open a folder. So from my WW folder, those that are using AMP, you use all the content that you put up for your website will be within the WW folder. So within that, I have a folder called web, and within that, these are the things that we'll be going through. I have another folder called HTML. So I've already selected that folder. That is where all my files will reside when we start with our HTML. If you are doing it with graphics too, I'll go and select the A-frame session and input import that particular or open that folder and put in those files in there. So without wasting my time, let me just go quickly into how to create a file. So now HTML is a folder, which is a folder within the web folder, within the WW folder in our root directory for AMPs. So I would like to create a file. I'll click on the file and I'll say index.html. So as you can see, I have an icon telling us that I'm using index HTML5, but I have it double this way. So I would want to remove one. So I can go to view and I can disable one of the, let me see. So quickly, I'm going to remove all right, let me come in here so that I'll go to the setting of the custom work and uncheck like the sidebar, so I'm going to maintain that. Okay, let me uncheck this one. Okay, so now I have this one. I have only just one icon. So for instance, assuming I want to create a CSS file, I'll just right click. I'm already in the HTML folder, so I can just right click and say new file, and I'll call it maybe style.css. See how an icon will be added to this particular file. You see, it tells us I'm using CSS3. All right, so to begin creating HTML documents, as I told you, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Please don't come and tell me HTML stands for how to make love. That is not what it stands for. It's Hypertext Markup Language. So from here, these tags are very important. Anytime you're coming out with an HTML tag, you use the doc type. The doc type tells us that we are dealing with HTML. So this tells us that it tells the browser that anything that follows afterwards is an HTML code. So render it or interpret it in this way. Now, within the course too, I've also included the reference guides for W3 school. So let me go back to the web programming class. So from here, you can see I have an offline resource for W3 school. So the whole of the website that you see here, W3 school, I have downloaded as an offline version. I've downloaded an offline version, which you can download, put on your computer, and reference it without having. In a case where you don't have internet access, you can always navigate and go through all of them. So from here, you can see I have. So that is HTML. So to start coding in HTML5, you always have to tell us the doc type. So these are some of the things that we'll go through. But there are some shortcut keys that I want to talk about over here before we'll start with the in-depth of how to use, how to code in HTML. So of course, I'll start with the doc type, and right after this, I would now create an HTML file. So this is the HTML tag. So this is the opening of the tag. The closing has a / before HTML. So anytime you open a tag, you have a / preceding this to close it. So right after having an HTML, the next thing is you have to get the head. So we type the head in here. So it is within the head that we will have our title. So we can have our title in here. So the title is the page. The title is what is displayed at the top here. So for instance, for this particular tab, you have course web programming. And for this one, the title is HTML tutorial. And for this one, the title is bracket and modern open source. So if you want our title to be maybe our first web page, that is what is going to display at the top for us. So right up, once we have our title, the next thing that we should be looking out for is the body. So we can create a body, the body tag, where everything that we see in our, everything that we see from here through the bottom is found in the body tag. So let me just type in here, maybe this is just a body information. So now once I'm done, I'm going to save this, and I'll click on the live preview to display the information that I have in here. So you can see this is just a body information. That is the only thing that is found within the HTML browser. Now, in setting up the live preview, you come to File, you go to Project Setting, then from here you type in the location of your project. So for instance, mine was found in the www folder, where there is a folder called web, and within the web I have a folder called HTML. So that is the root or base URL for my live preview. So when you type in this, you click on done, and that will be it. Now by default, it comes with enable experimental live preview, and that sometimes work, in other times it doesn't work. So I always advise you have your WAMP or AMP or XAMPP or MAMP installed. You go to project settings, you type in the right link to the project, like how you would type it in your browser. Then you click on done. Right when you are done, you check the live preview. So from here, anything that I do and save, you can see it keeps. So you see, this is assuming I clean this one and I keep typing. I hope I have a pen. The moment I save, in the live preview, it keeps changing. So that is about it. Assuming I also have my code scattered in a way which does not look so nice, all scattered at different places and the rest. That is where we use the beautify extension. So to do that, I will just select the whole of this and click on beautify. You see how it has arranged the course for me. So instead of just it's in cases where you have so many indentation and all of that, the beautify would help organize your course correctly for you. Now you remember I also, I began by typing all of this. You remember I started typing the doc type, which tells the browser that we are going to deal with HTML. So I typed the doc type and started with HTML and close and open an HTML tag. Now there is a shortcut to do that. You remember we installed this extension, the extension called Emmet. Emmet makes it so easy for us to do certain things fast. So this extension Emmet, so I'm going to close that. So to have the skeleton of HTML, which is more or less this HTML5, to have the skeleton within our page brackets quickly, you can just type the exclamation mark and hit tab. So you can see I have all these created by the Emmet extension. Now it is advisable that whenever you start creating your pages, when you start your HTML, you let us know the language. If it's going to be English, you give us the meta element, which is going to have a property of character set with this value. In fact, we'll go through all of this, but for now I wanted us to create to install the brackets and also install some extension that will help speed up in our coding in the web graphics, in the web computer graphics, and also the web programming class. Thank you very much.